for now, we've got a great match coming up.
Oh, yes.
Ryvius versus Surrender. Two of the best players, as far as I'm concerned, coming out of the Asia-Pacific region, and definitely two of the best Korean players if you want to narrow it down in a field of, we've got a fair few Korean players in Grandmasters so far. But let's take a look. What do you make of the lineups? What do you make of the plays?
So Surrender's got a much more standard version of the deck, I think. He's got what most people would consider the top 3 decks at the moment in Priest, Warrior, and Druid. And then the Highlander Hunter, which he's been bringing quite consistently so far in Hearthstone Grandmasters. It's a build of the deck that I like a little bit more. That he was one of the players I saw pioneering, which is the version with Scavenging Hyena. That I think is a nice, slightly more aggressive version of the deck that can function very nicely against the Druid as well.
Yeah, I like it overall. I think... Yeah, we just found out this year. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show you, but basically Ryvius has shielded the Warrior and had his Shaman band out, and Surrender has shielded his Druid and had his Hunter band out. So Surrender's Hunter's gone both players, bringing Hunter as you were talking about. But again, I just feel like when Priest and Druid and Warrior are playable in your lineup, which is going to be the case, I think, for Surrender, is just looking at the lists and core of it, I would be feeling pretty good overall with just having arguably the top 3 classes right now.
Yes, I can definitely agree with that as well. The way they line up specifically against what Ryvius has got going on, as we can see here, the somewhat standard builds of Highlander Hunter, Control Warrior, a couple of interesting spins there with the Faceless and the Zephyrus, of course, but the real spicy one for me is the one that has sadly been banned away in the Control Shaman.
Yeah, I think they'll just talk about this Warrior. It is a little bit more different as well because he's running Silence, the Faceless, but also the Youthful Brewmaster and Zephyrus, which means that... So in the mirror, if your opponent plays Elysiana, you can basically play 2 Elysianas because you can faceless it and then bounce it and then replay. But also it means that this becomes a little bit different in a flexible way of you can faceless Zephyrus and bounce them, or you can bounce your own Zephyrus and get to play it twice. And things start to get really weird. Like what if faceless King Fioris, for example, and then bounce that back to your hand so that you can then end up playing your own King Fioris with Brawls and Plagues in hand? That could be a threatening board out of nowhere. So there's a lot of flexibility with Ryvius' builds, but Surrender, I think, just has the good stuff. I still don't like the Nomi, but I'll let him off with that one because he is managing to keep hold of a good Priest list and also, I think, just a solid, just general Warrior list here.
Yeah, very standard stuff for Surrender, which has been the name of the game for him. We haven't seen anything too experimental from him in the last few weeks, but I don't really begrudge him for that. Like, I can see that how it may appear that I'm being a little bit hypocritical here, where I'm criticizing some players for bringing the same thing week after week, Surrender not so much. But at least the past couple of weeks, I just feel like Surrender's been playing so strong that he is almost allowed to bring what are very predictable decks.
And also as well, Surrender's one of the first players bringing Priest. Surrender brought Priest last week, which means like his general lineup was ahead of the APAC curve anyway in terms of the Priest list. So, I think he's doing okay. Maybe next week there is cause for queries, and maybe something gets shaken up a little bit next week for Surrender, now that a few players have decided to bring some other decks. We've seen Reno Mage from other regions, we've seen more Malygos Druid from other regions, and even just a lack of Warriors from the other regions as well. So maybe the Asia-Pacific group takes a look and sees what's cooking. But for now, we have Druid versus Warrior, and wow. Surrender is a good Druid hand.
He most certainly does.
That's some card draw right there.
Is this a coin on 1 turn for Druid?
Yes.
You still think you go Quest Coin and then turn 3 Merchant? Or do you go turn 2 Merchant and then turn 3 Merchant? Turn 3 Merchant, turn 4 Merchant?
With the accelerated card draw you're expected to have, it's likely you get a good turn 5 play. So you want...
That's fair.
Like you're drawing like, what, 3-4 extra cards if everything goes well, which means you're just more likely to get a good solid turn 5.
Surrender's not sure.
I have a strong preference of doing this, maybe too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like, although this looks good to save coin, the more cards you draw means the more likelihood that you get a strong turn 5 anyway, which means you want your crystal unlocked on turn 5.
I agree, and I think it's, in addition to that, you don't necessarily have to draw exactly Oasis Surger, because you can also just go for like Wrath or something as well.
Yeah, exactly,
on turn 5.
You just have more stuff.
Oh,
you could drop a Loti a turn earlier and use that turn to just get Loti on the board. There's so much stuff you can do.
Yeah. We have seen, though, was it from Blood Trail we saw? I can't remember exactly who it was, who played Quest Coin and then just Crystal Merchant on 2 because they had the second one in hand and they wanted to set up for a double draw on 3.
I think that was Surrender.
Was that Surrender?
It might have been Surrender.
Really?
I want to say it was Surrender or Shaxi.
Oh,
last
okay.
week.
I clearly completely misremembered. But someone did that right last week.
They definitely did it. They
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
did it. See?
Behold, jewels of the
Now just
sun.
it's once the card draw gets cooking, the deck is absurd.
It is very, very meaty. And the problem is that the Warrior here, with no offensive tools at the start of the game, is really struggling to put up that aggressive front. And as we've seen time and time again, while the Warrior rarely gets there in terms of an aggressive push at the start of the game, it's still kind of a necessary step to exhaust the Druid of some of their early aggression, just because they have to trade into it.
And even now the Nourish is... Oh!
The dream.
It's... So I'm just like, please kill these merchants. I'm starting to overdraw. That'd be so good. Ryvius is like, I'm going to let him mill himself. He's just like, I'm taking 2 damage a turn. Surrender's drawing like 2 cards a turn. Of course, Surrender can stop that at any point by just playing a full mana play. Which makes the cards actually insane, right? You can control when they draw.
Kind of an interesting mini-game where you have to spend all your mana every turn then all of a sudden.
Pick your poison.
So he's at 9 cards right now, so he doesn't have to expend a card from his hand. So Wrath and Ferocious Howl is obviously a consideration.
Funnily enough, I think Starfall and Ubiseth would be a good turn. I just don't know if Surrender should realize that because of where he is right now, but I feel like getting rid of this means that your cards live longer. You know, the merchants are going to stay on the board, and it creates like a really weird board for Warrior to deal with. A 3/5, a 1/2, and a 1/1 does not line up in any way, shape, or form to Warrior removal. And just so you guys remember, Ryvius isn't playing the Whirlwind into Plague style. He's playing 1 Plague and a load of other strange stuff, like the Starfall. Not the Starfall, because I was looking at Starfall. Like the Faceless Manipulator.
Yes.
Another 5-drop. And wow, Surrender actually did the play. I'm impressed.
Highest tempo play possible. This does obviously set up for the best Nourish next turn, where at 8 cards he will be at, he could Nourish, and as long as he expends all his mana or trades in his 2 Crystal Merchants, he'll be able to play Nourish next turn. So I guess for specifically that, sure.
Yeah, it just looks good.
Yeah.
There's Zephyrus. I mean, that bad boy is going to be active pretty quick because Surrender's drawn so much of his deck.
Surrender does, of course, have the ability to be a bit more flexible with his Zephyrus because we obviously saw the other day, I believe it was from Dawn, where the entire game plan revolved around copying Zephyruses as many times as possible against Warrior. Here, of course, Surrender does not have Elise, so I think that will probably be thrown down at some point for likely just a Tyrion.
Or lethal.
Or lethal, yes.
Mainly because one thing is, as soon as Surrender has a sizable board due to, Cenarius or King Ferris, and suddenly Zephyrus, Bloodlust is often GG.
Yeah.
But it's Ryvius' job to control that and contain the potential, because it's not like Zephyrus is a surprise card. Like, although Zephyrus creates cards you don't play in your deck most of the time, everyone has got, I think, a very good grasp of when Zephyrus is normally played, the optimal times, and what for.
Absolutely. Especially as there's very few instances that you actually expect it to come down. Like, there's only a couple of instances that the Druid would play it. It's either at 10 mana to get Tyrion, or when there's a whiteboard for lethal.
Exactly.
Or if they've fallen miles behind and they need to go for a brawl.
Yeah.
Unity. Precision.
Ziliax reminding us that he's cool too. In all the talk of Zephyrus and other things recently. No one cares about little Ziliax anymore, even though he's still one of the best cards ever printed in the game.
Hey guys, I'm toxic too. I don't know why that's my motion for Ziliax, of like a pouring chipmunk.
Either that or someone like a T-Rex trying to climb a ladder. I think was one of the other options.
Well, with the microbots, it kind of is like that, with like little T-Rex claws.
It's true. Can you imagine a T-Rex trying to climb a ladder? Ridiculous.
Probably just eat it.
And be like, I don't want to be up there anyway. that's how the dinosaurs got wiped out. There was a ladder to save them, and none of them could climb it. Like, oh no, foiled again.
Did anything have opposable thumbs at that point that made it could climb a ladder?
Stuff had wings though.
It could have flown.
Yeah.
Could have flown.
Well, the T-Rex, I don't think T-Rex had wings. I'm not a dinosaur specialist, but if a T-Rex had wings, it sounds like one of those terrible films. It's like, we resurrected dinosaurs and gave them wings.
Jurassic Park 4. This time they're flying.
Great tagline. Would really reel in the crowds.
I'd watch that. Would you not watch that?
Look, I've watched Sharknado 1 and 2, Derek. I would watch the Jurassic Park film no matter what happened.
Ryvius presented obviously with a clear, should he so want to take it, with double Restless Mummy, but that is a pretty horrendous trade in terms of how it stacks up. So I imagine instead it's just carry on chugging, keep passing along. Like Weapons Project plus Restless Mummy to take out one of them. It's not bad. It's all just very meh.
Your magic shall not save you.
Just 1-for-1 basically. Or at least giving the opportunity to 1-for-1. Oh, and here we go. I think I like it.
So what happens if we were to see Cenarius this turn, assuming a Brawl comes down or some kind of clear, which I think for Surrender is a reasonable expectation, then the King Feoris would summon 2 4-drops,
2 3
2
drops.
3 drops.
That's not bad if you've got Zephyrus for
That's
backup.
all right. Yeah, that's
It's
actually
not bad.
all
You
right.
push 12 this turn.
Yeah.
And have a. It has to be brawled. It has to be.
I wonder if instead, therefore, the thinking is you trade in the 3/3 and then just play King Feoris this turn and set up for King Cenarius to. Sorry, King Cenarius to set up for Cenarius to buff it on the following turn.
But I mean that holds Zephyrus because you can't do both. You can't have Cenarius and Zephyrus, right?
Right, yeah.
So I think this might be better
Okay.
because it's more likely that Ryvius doesn't clear this follow-up. 1, because the brawl's gone, and 2, because it should be a weaker board. And
That's true.
King Cenarius just saying, yeah, I'm king of this castle, surviving the brawl, and this is just a problem, right? Like this is a
Big
legitimate problem.
Big, big problem.
No tomb can hold me.
So, well, get him, mummy. Is he just gonna pass? I guess double trading doesn't really change
Doesn't really
much.
do anything, yeah. Unless, of course, he's trying to set up for a warpath and doesn't want it to be killed off. But yeah, I think you just hold it there for more flexible trades on the following turn. And now for Surrender, I think given that his list does not run the Elise, of course, so he doesn't need to be quite so precious with his cards, I think you can just keep on tempoing out here.
Yeah,
Right? Like, what's to stop
like I
him from
said,
King
again,
Feoris? Yeah.
and then again. Worst case, you know, look at the turn. There's like Cenarius with Lotis afterwards. You can Cenarius Loti if this next board gets cleared, and then still threaten lethal with Zephyrus. So I think it's 100% what you do. Well, if he plays Zephyrus this turn, then he'll have Zephyrus again for 4 mana. But you can Zephyrus Loti is what I meant. You know what I mean, guys.
We could instead see like bees and then 4 mana Cenarius, but I think that the Floop is more valuable to be saved rather than that.
Time waits for no
Whatever happens, Surrender should build a board, punch him in the face, and then ask Ryvius, can he clear it again? If he does, he's got other options.
King Feoris is so weak to Warpath in that instance, though, because of the 3/2 that's knocking about.
So double... Ooh, okay. Gonna go for a different... Okay.
This still
I mean, this still makes a board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is all I ever wanted in life. And all Surrender wants, just make a board and then go.
And this is significantly more resilient to Warpath. So I think I like this. He's already seen 1 Brawl, so he's less afraid of that. And even if a Brawl does come down, then you can follow up with some of his other threats anyway.
And this is just the savagery, both in Raws and in Bloodlust, that Zephyrus can promote in a deck that doesn't necessarily have to be Highlander, is that now Ryvius is just thinking, well, if it's got Zephyrus and it's active, I might be in trouble even if I Warpath this.
Warpath now is obviously a little sad when you have the Plague of Wrath in hand, but I guess it, in a way, sets up for that next turn anyway, because you're pre-damaging the minions.
So he's 1 off lethal now with Zephyrus?
Is Zephyrus even active?
Oh, no, it's not active yet, okay.
What is that left in the deck that's...
Yeah, to be honest, I thought we'd seen everything,
Two
which
of.
is why I thought there was Zephyrus would be active by now.
Is it Oasis Surger?
No,
We've
he
seen
played
Oasis
one, right?
Surgers, right? Yeah. Nourishes.
It's not Nomi, I can tell you that for free.
You're not wrong there. Yeah, either way, not active at
And
yeah.
what I would really like, I think, actually Loti swipe face now. It clears the board. You get to push 9 plus a 6. That's 15.
Yeah.
Ryvius is only on 18.
I agree. I think the fact that it makes King Furious weaker isn't really something you care about too much. It's not really strong enough to
It's
play
already
at this
weak
point
anyway.
anyway.
Once one swipe was played, it's already weak.
I agree. Going on the aggressive here. Cenarius has replaced his treants with 2 dinosaurs. This can be the plot to Jurassic Park 5. Cenarius and the boys.
So cracks a cold one with the boys.
T-Rex is just there like, I can't get my fingernail in.
First the ladders, now these drinks. I'm sick of this. Well,
That'll
that was
do.
it.
Yep.
That's going to be game 1, going to surrender. And Ryvius kind of a bit of a smile, a shake of the head, but you see just time and time again how like oppressive this deck can be once you just go wave 1, okay, cleared. Wave 2, okay, cleared. Wave 3, now you're dead. And that's just it. That could be a 3-part series film as well.
Wave 1.
Cleared. Wave 2, still cleared.
It's a short film.
Yeah, it's just going to be a 2-minute silence film, and we're going to go to a 4-minute break as we start the next game. We'll be right back.
Oh! How does he do it? How does he do it? Must he? The thing is,
Oh,
it's the perfect
my
1 minute.
God.
No way! No way! We're like a pain to giving up. Siri, saying you're there?
Hey, I can kind of hear you guys. It's a little quiet, but hey, I'm here.
Hey, Sayed, can you hear us?
Okay, I can hear you.
So, what'd you think about that series we had? Sorry, it's a little loud in here. Crawling Berserker, his hope is that RDU does not. And Firebat has 2 draws, Sandbinder or Zephyrus or Evil Genius into something. Oh, Sergeant! Off the top, Muzzy can't look. The power of Pineapple compels you. Firebat, we only have time for one last question, so I'll make this quick. Can you unbutton one more for us? You were doing great with the first.
Very intricate. 2 cards. Shadow Step. 2 more should he so desire.
Draw that deck.
I'm sensing a swift end to the game. Oh my. Oh, this Edwin. Oh, this is going to be the biggest Edwin we've ever seen. 26.
30-something, 30-something.
Oh,
yes! I'm taking it.
30-0 and stats a code.
I'm kind of looking at you for that one. Just no comment? All right. That'll be, all right, that'll do that. Bunny Hopper, thank you very much for your time, and good luck in your other match this week. Well played.
Thank you.
Surrender taking game number 1 versus Ryvius with some solid Druid play. And so some good outcomes for the deck, I think. It's just, it continues to show how dangerous that deck is, especially against Warrior that is very predictable and straightforward. And now it looks like we're going to have a Warrior mirror.
We've been doing so well, Raven. It's been so long.
Ryvius, Surrender. I love you guys, but come on.
Come on,
What's
lads.
going on?
And would you now like to talk about the techs in Ryvius' deck list, which may seem a little bit weird at first glance, but now will become very apparent as to why they're in there?
Not really, no. This is literally the only matchup throughout the whole of GM I wanted to avoid this weekend.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they are both playing Control Warrior. They're both playing Archivist Elysiana. The problem that we're going to have to deal with is Ryvius is running a Faceless Manipulator and a Brewmaster. There you go. Which means Ryvius can play as Elysiana, and then Surrender can play his. And then Ryvius can just Faceless Surrenders and then Brewmaster. My honest question is, ever Surrender is going to become an ascendant into as a true god and play Elysiana on 9 and then shield slam it?
Shield slam.
Yeah.
that is
would
to
be
go
insane.
even further beyond.
Yeah, he should just win the series. I think that's his win condition for this series, as far as I'm concerned. If I was in charge, I'd be like, yeah, 2-0. Yeah, good job, son. But yeah, we might be in for a long one is what I'm getting at. Get comfortable. Funny enough, me and Derek have just stood up, which is the comfortable aspect of when you've been sat down for a few hours. So we'll see how this goes. What do you want to talk about for the next 15 to 20 turns while we wait?
Well, I was trying to come up in my head a spam which Twitch chat could spam to encourage Surrender to shield slam his own Elysiana. I'm currently thinking spam this banana to shield slam Elysiana.
Is there a banana remote?
Well, in like on your phone, you know, you can.
Oh,
like
yeah, you can get it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I don't think there's like a Twitch chat.
In 30 minutes, which will be when you hear this Twitch chat, I'm talking directly to you now.
Yeah.
We're going to check. 35. Okay.
Right.
So I know when to check.
5 past 8, local time.
Yep, local time. We're going to check. And if we don't see that spam, then we're going to replay this matchup. So regardless of outcome, so you guys have the control over that one. You control your own fates, but there's the threat made.
Yes.
Because I'm definitely in charge of these things. It's like scheduling and bending and breaking all of the rules of the tournament.
Because outside of those kind of plays like shield slamming your own Elysiana to stop your opponent from faceless manipulating it and then youthful brewmastering it back to their hand to add yet a further 10 cards to their deck, there's not a whole lot going on.
There's not. We're going to see just these kinds of plays where I think both players are kind of just going to test the water. But realistically, they're not really going to overcommit because we've seen time and time again, I feel like it doesn't make enough of an impact. I don't think rushing for tempo and trying to pressure your opponent in such a close matchup, I feel like that just plays into a style where your opponent can actually use cards that are normally hard to use, like removal, like Brawl, and like Plague, whereas it gives them something to do whilst you were just using your resources, and you end up with cards that are removal that might be, you could argue, could be good post Elysiana and stuff like that, and to kind of flip it so it ends up being a mirrored match. But I don't know. I think both players are just going to play it very, very slowly, and we're just going to see what happens late game.
One thing I am personally very happy about is that both players have found Dr. Boom. I'd rather both players find it at the start or neither player finds it at the start, because it can be a little bit sad when one player just has Dr. Boom for the entire game, taking a bunch of value trades, generating a bunch of value.
Right.
In this instance, both players have the goods. Everybody's suiting up.
Small decisions, because we're definitely going in on the Warrior mirrors, and you know what, rightly so in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there are small plays that can make differences early game. When to swing this weapon, when not to, in terms of is there an equip? That's just laughing at me. But I'm saying you don't just blindly swing it 3 times to face, is my point. There is timing and there is a nuance of when you equip Super Collider. If you're going to equip it, then you want to have your weapon swung. You want to utilize the maximum 3 swings possible and not let your opponent just get away with small but tiny percentages that they can gain by wasting weapon swings.
I like the pick of Damage Stegatron over the living monument there for a couple of reasons. With Dr. Boom in hand, you're probably going to want a hero power, if not every turn, most turns at least. And of course, a 10 mana 10/10 against the deck that runs a Mega Devastator, unlikely to be quite so useful. But it's true, you know, there are things worth talking about already. Surrender passing over Shield Block on turn 4, because I imagine he wants to save it for Shield Block and Hero Power on the same turn to get maximum value every single turn. Holding the Snip Snap on turn 3, he wants to magnetize that on top of something else, which I think is usually correct in the matchup, because you want to be able to play it for 3 copies and get 6 burst damage out of it by magnetizing.
He also
on.
might just not be planning to play Shield Block at all, because it's card
Very
draw,
possibly.
right? They might take the completely old school approach of you just don't really want to draw quicker than your opponent. The only weird question,
That's an interesting point.
I'd love to just dive into Surrender's mindset right now, not headset, because that wouldn't fit.
That wouldn't make sense
Yep.
to say that.
But honestly, I don't know what he thinks about playing against this Ryvius' version of Warrior, because what's the plan to beat the double Elysiana? Is the plan to just get better stuff and kill Ryvius and meet? Because Ryvius, in doing so, means that he does have kind of 2 dead turns, right? He has a full turn where he plays a 3/2, and then he has a full turn where he plays a 7/7. So there are some openings that are created by this playstyle, and I wonder what Surrender's thinking. And just so you know, Surrender, we don't have Cam for Surrender because I believe it's a holiday in Korea right now, and I think Surrender's gone somewhere. I don't know if he's visiting family or
I think
friends.
he's visiting family.
So yeah, he isn't at home, so he doesn't have his setup or anything. So
He's a good boy. He's Surrender, visiting his family.
good
Good lad.
holidays.
Yeah. Whereas me here at the Moon Festival, nothing. Sat in my apartment room. Didn't even look at the moon once.
I ate a moon cake though.
Oh, I did eat a moon
They're
cake.
pretty good.
I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're they take a bit of getting used to. But
Yeah,
they're good.
I got used to it in the first bite. I was like, it's just nice.
I've eaten 20 of them since then.
No. Luckily enough, I have 2. I've had 1, and that's my lot. I'm not going to commit.
That's what's keeping you going right now, just while you're here away in the studio, you're just thinking of the mooncake waiting for you at home. Of better times.
Probably not going to eat it tonight either.
You're just going to savor it. Have a little piece every day.
I do that sometimes. God, Warrior Mirrors make us talk absolute rubbish, don't they?
Yep.
But I do that sometimes where I'll buy like a bar of chocolate and purposely have it on my desk and not eat it.
Interesting.
Just to test.
Is it like as a test of your willpower, or because you enjoy having the possibility of eating it?
I think it's more willpower mostly.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there staring at the chocolate bar. I'm stronger than you. I'm a big man.
No. Oh, no. I just cry.
We'll try again tomorrow. Cat, it happened again.
I've got like 20 whispers on my desk. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I blinked and now there's just whispers everywhere. Whispers my preferred go-to chocolate bar. Anyone who says they're not amazing is wrong.
I could not agree more. It's like
Fantastic.
probably my second favorite. Yeah, way
Is
up.
Whisper Gold your first favorite? 'Cause that's the only first I'll give you.
No, I like
is
a
it?
dime bar. That's my personal favorite. I absolutely love a dime bar. I think it's the perfect amount. It's just a little treat. Not too much, not too heavy.
Like a mooncake.
Just like a mooncake, exactly.
Quite
I
small.
often call it the mooncake of the chocolate world.
In your in-depth knowledge of local holidays and celebrations.
Should we check back in?
No. Don't. I mean, things are happening. Sounds like a really weird sentence. But like, so look at the armor counts, right? Surrender is on a sizably decent chunk of extra armor.
And he's been prioritizing it, turn after
yeah.
turn. Yeah. Whilst also being the aggressor, of
Yeah.
course.
But the question now is, Surrender's been, I would argue, doing more stuff than Ryvius. Is that a detriment? Is it not? I don't know, but he gets to play Boom first, which is never that bad.
It was mostly created stuff, though. You know, it was a Cartoot Defender, which was created. I suppose the Snip Snap going. Like, the Snip Snap is the one thing you could consider was maybe I would have saved it, because he could have gone Cartoot Defender on turn 6, sorry, instead. And then kept the Snip Snap to maybe magnetize onto an Omega Devastator, magnetized onto if he discovers a big mech like a Beryllium Nullifier in the Dream scenario.
But as you mentioned, with the double-edged sword that is the Discover change in the game right now, he's actually more likely to discover Snip Snap anyway. So maybe he's like, just get one later on.
Harrison again coming down not for draw, which maybe does go back to your talking point of Surrender not trying to draw at all in this matchup, which I have to be honest, I find a little surprising. My initial reaction would be that Surrender's game plan here would be to accept that he's never winning Fatigue, because Ryvius has the opportunity, of course, to add in another 10 cards into the deck. And at that point say, I'm going to cycle through my deck as quick as I can to try and go for a more aggressive line of play. Maybe not necessarily as quick as he can, but be willing to draw cards and then just use the Elysiana extra cards he generates to try and close out the game.
Somewhere in between where Surrender will want to pounce on the gaps that are created through Ryvius' kind of weird combo he play with the way he generates the extra Elysiana and playing Elysiana himself, which means that Surrender, I think, wants to keep the armor low, so when the window's open, he can slam it shut into Ryvius' face. And to do that, Ryvius can't have like 50 armor, right? Because it just won't work. Surrender's going to get like a turn or so in terms of time to just really put to put Ryvius under pressure.
The other important thing, which we haven't really discussed so far in the matchup, that is, again, in Ryvius' favor, is not only the extra Elysiana he can play with, again, the Faceless and the Brewmaster, it's the Zephyrus.
Yep.
Harrison's been played now, so if the, I guess we can say, expected card of Tyrion were to come down off of, Zephyrus, then that's an Ashbringer which maybe is not dealt with.
What do you think about the off-off thing?
The what?
Off of.
Off of?
Yeah. Off of.
Yeah.
You say it twice.
Yeah.
I don't think I say it. And I always like hear it when people say.
Did I, what, as in I said it wrong?
You said it. No, I'm saying like, is it even a thing?
Off of, yeah.
You just say off twice. You don't say off Zephyrus.
Off Zephyrus. I guess.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's
I
redundant.
know TJ. I'll broaden this, but I know a lot of the Americans say it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just
You get it off of Zephyrus.
You're saying off twice.
Yeah, this
like,
is a really bad clip as well that I'm creating that someone can get out as well.
Yeah, it's just weird, isn't it?
It is weird. Yeah.
It doesn't, to me, make sense. Well, many things don't make sense to me, Derek. And long ago, I decided to just get on with it.
One of the intricacies of the stupid language that we call English. It makes no sense.
One thing that you could argue a negative in this matchup for Ryvius is with these combo pieces now having drawn them when he has, his hand is full of a lot of cards that it's not that he can't use, but are weird to use, which means the quality of his hand right now is lower than Surrender's in general, I would argue.
I think that could matter in some kinds of games. The way that Surrender's draw has shaken out, though, means that doesn't really matter, because Surrender's got all his threats at the bottom of the deck. Like, he's picked up a Tomb Warden now, which is a reasonable-sized threat, but he has no Armageddillos, he doesn't have the second Tomb Warden. I mean, that's it. It's not a very high threat density deck.
Say that 3 times quick.
I will not.
Okay then.
Ziliak's being just thrown out as well. Another high value card, like chucking Ziliax on a big mech is scary.
And I think it was either that or Zephyrus that he was really considering playing there. Zephyrus, of course, would offer Tyrion there, but he, I suppose, doesn't really want the Tyrion because, of course, he has the weapon in play already. Maybe Zephyrus would have offered something else good, like Ooze?
Wait, hold the phone.
Unity.
Is this a different board?
Yeah, I saw this the other day.
I've never played on this board before. What's going on? Is this Grandmasters board?
No, it's in the game. They added it in for Tombs of Terror, I think, as a...
When did this get added in? I played a lot of Hearthstone the last few days. I've
yesterday.
honestly not played.
Really?
I've not played on this board.
I don't know if I've played on it. I think I've seen someone else.
I thought you could say, I think I've seen my opponents play on it. Right.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
I saw it on... Actually, no. I saw it on GM, in EU GM,
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess it could be a Grandmasters board, but I think more likely it's one that they just added in.
board, that would be sick.
Just Hunter Ace's big dumb face in the corner.
Right, no, just in the middle.
You're playing on the crevices of Hunter Ace's face.
Or the board is just his hair texture. That would be great.
I would pay for that, just in case any Blizzard
Entree
marketing
skin.
people there. Yeah.
For the board. That's so weird. It's not like a card back.
No, it's not a hero portrait.
It's just
it's
the
the
board.
board.
Each corner could be statues of previous world champions.
Love it.
Blizzard.
Free money here, guys.
Although, technically, I was going to say, you don't have to pay me. You do, because I'm working. But for this idea, it's free. You can have that one.
That's legally binding. You're about to say you don't have to pay me. Contract is
Done.
null.
No! I guess don't need to keep casting then. All your stuff. See the Cocktail Imposter now, though, going to get thrown down. Kind of difficult to deal with for Warrior, as the stealth makes it awkward and the resistance to Dynamatic and such, of course. Making it difficult means that Ryvius can at least start to get something going in terms of just chipping away some of this armor.
Yeah.
He has caught up a lot in the armor count. He was way further behind beforehand.
That's true, yeah. I think it's mainly because Serena's just been getting the bad hero powers for the most part. That's
I was going to say,
when
when Boom's alive, the armor can swing wildly both
drastically,
ways.
yeah. Ooh, Harrison found now for Ryvius, which could combo. Actually, no, he's used one weapons project and he only has one in the deck. Okay, so Harrison could only be used to destroy another weapon at this point, right?
Okay
I
then.
believe. But I think Surrender's got through most of his weapons anyway. So yeah, Ryvius just throwing it down there as a card to play. It's in keeping with his game plan so far, which is just play the stuff.
Yep.
And again, make no mistake, even though Ryvius is behind 2 cards in terms of card draw as it currently stands, with the Faceless and the Youthful, copying that Elysiana, he should be in a pretty good spot to wrestle
Got
his
a
way
shield
back
slam.
into the game.
It's got a lot of armor there.
Are you ready to spam this banana?
2 shield slam, Elysium.
Yeah.
And he did just get into the snip snap, I told you. That's where he's fine with playing it early. Just got to
That's
discover it all
true.
along. It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly. Strict buff to delivery drone as well. You're more likely to get Snip Snap now.
And Zilliax.
And Ziliax. Oh,
Wait,
Warrior is strong
did they
enough
actually-
already.
Yeah, did they actually buff Warrior with this shit?
This would be a good time for a master plan.
if you had to make a guess, how many times would you say that windmill has completely rotated in the time of this match?
This game.
You can guess now,
Up
and you
until
can also
now.
guess at the end. I mean, like for the total game. So now you have to factor in how long you think the game will go,
Ooh, okay.
and then at
Oh.
the end you get another guess, which is knowing how long it's gone on.
But there's no way to prove it unless someone watches the VOD. You gonna watch the VOD?
Maybe someone will.
There's always someone. Okay,
Cast your answers in Twitch chat as well.
Your
20
magic
times
shall
now.
not cease.
Okay. It is quite slow. It's rotating quite slowly.
3 times total.
43 times total. Okay.
I feel like it's close to 1 a minute. Maybe a bit quicker. Maybe 1 every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think maybe 1 every 30 seconds sounds about right. So then,
So,
20-minute game.
I take it back. Double my answer.
You get another chance later. That's your first answer. right?
Okay. I'm gonna have to take your first answer. I apologize.
I'm sorry, that was your final answer.
Be like, but it wasn't. I'm choosing to believe it was.
Like I said,
Just play 2 more than even know straight into a. Oh, sorry, it's not straight into a super collider.
Yeah,
Apologies,
yeah,
I
overwrote it.
misread the weapon, but still, just playing a blank one. It feels so weak versus a Doctor Boomed Up Warrior that
Yeah.
has not really played many cards, which means it's likely that there's mech removal somewhere.
always dies, yeah. It's just interesting to see the difference in the dynamics of players, because I believe, thinking back, Blood Trail, when playing this Warrior Mirror, I think it was against Rivius, actually. that
Tempoed it out,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. He was tempoing everything. He was just throwing stuff on the board, and it worked out horribly for him. He lost the game by miles. Whereas both players here are clearly showing a much more reserved style of play, I suppose, where they want to save all their threats for right at the end. And go for one kind of final hurrah, save the best for last, as it were.
Many Any more Tomb Wardens left where that came from, though? And also Surrender now has a full Snip Snap turn and a kill with the weapon onto the Omega Devastator. So now Surrender said, okay, you cleared the Tomb Warden, but this is much more difficult to clear. It's going for like textbook formation number 2 with Snip Snap, which is the 2-on-1 and 1 on its own.
Yeah. It's like on Tetris, you have all the combination of 4 blocks, and in Snip Snap you can have all the combinations of 3 magnetized Snip Snaps. Which there are. I guess there's not many. There's only 3. Yeah.
This would be
Pretty
a good
boring
time for a
thing to even
master
talk about,
plan.
actually, when you think about it.
Wow, that is most of our casting. Isn't
I'm staying on brand.
that our bit?
Yeah, it's all been a joke, guys, in case you've been wondering. Got ya.
Yeah, aha, we win.
It is difficult, obviously, for Ryvius to deal with easily, though. I'm sorry, what?
Hold the dog and bone.
What? Am I missing something?
Game on.
I thought that was like his trump card.
Well, the idea... So, okay. So the idea with this, I think, is that because... Wait, I could have just Shield Slam hit
You could have done a million other things.
Warpath. I'm going to send Ryvius a PM.
Right.
Once today's over, because
the thing-
I'm just interested now.
Right, so we are obviously confused about the idea that we presumed the reason he'd put in Faceless Manipulator and Youthful Brewmaster in the deck was to copy his opponent's Elysiana and then bounce it back. Maybe he thinks, maybe he's so honed in on the idea that there will be an insta self shield slam if he was to keep it.
But if that's the case, Faceless and Brewmaster aren't bad cards to hold
Exactly,
anyway.
yeah, you can just use them later on. Oh no, he's got the coin. He's going to use it on his own Elysiana. He can just go Elysiana,
he's
coin,
holding coin,
Brewmaster.
okay.
Sorry, yeah, I'm being dumb. This does, of course, mean he has to save the coin.
Yeah,
But
I didn't even see the coin in his hand,
yeah.
I'll be completely honest.
I think at this point it's perfectly useful. Okay, Ryvius, you're good.
No PM. for
We're
me,
silly.
I understand. You're safe.
As long as he's still got that plan in the back burner, I'm happy with pretty much everything he does. Because it should just very easily lead to a win.
Right. I guess the only difference or question of what could happen, which is honestly what annoys me about this mirror, is that Elysiana holds the Elysiana outcome holds so much weight of the game.
Yes.
Is that Surrender's Elysiana could be sick, and Ryvius' first one could be bad, which means Surrender just pummels Ryvius into the ground,
Yeah.
whilst Ryvius tries to Elysiana again, which again is slow and kind of clunky. So that is a thing that can happen, and I wonder if Surrender ever pulls the trigger on Elysiana early to try and pressure Ryvius out of Elysiana, because I don't know what cards he has left exactly, but off the top of my head, there's Armagadillo.
That's a good one, yeah.
And that's it. I think that's really sticking out for me as a big one.
An assembly? Has he played an assembly yet? I don't think so, right?
Maybe not.
Yeah. He's only got one in the deck, of course.
But my thought is, if he's never going to win on the fatigue count, does he need to wait with Elysiana?
Yeah.
The game's either won or lost based on, I think, more Surrenders Elysiana than anything else.
I think it's something he'll very much consider to go for in the next few turns. Because, I mean, it's important to remember as well that even though Surrender cannot win as it currently stands, I think, in fatigue, every extra turn he has staying alive, not dying to his own fatigue, is another turn he gets to kill his opponent.
Right.
Like, he wants as much time as he can buy himself to deliver the aggression to close out
I
the
think
game.
if he Elysiana's quicker and forces
Maybe that'll
Ryvius
get
into
there.
reactionary play,
Yeah. Maybe.
it's going to be good.
Maybe. I think Ryvius now at this point can start like just dumping some cards, right? Does he have any rush minions left in the deck?
Well, there's one thing I want to think about as well for
Wow,
Surrender in
okay.
terms of the aggressive play is, remember, if Ryvius wants to Elysiana bounce, his whole turn is player 3-2.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
what if Surrender just slams Elysiana now? says, right, let's go. He can't. Ryvius can't Elysiana his turn, which is fine, and then Surrender can just start getting cooking. And if Surrender can maybe get to a point where Ryvius just can't comfortably bounce the Elysiana, and then it's just I'll air quotes, fair game if both players just play one Elysiana each. Because you can't even shield slam Elysiana bounce, so you can't even like remove a threat. That whole turn is going to be 10 mana 3/2.
I guess the really difficult thing then for Surrender is that Ryvius could potentially go for the Elysiana on any one of the next few turns. Like, if he Elysianas with 2 or 1 cards left in the deck, that's fine. Ryvius is still miles ahead in fatigue. And so therefore, Surrender, if he just goes for Elysiana, Ryvius could not play his own Elysiana for a turn, remove, and then go for it the turn after, right? Like, it's...
Right, but then, like, Surrender just plays stuff,
keeps
right?
developing.
That's the point, right?
I guess that's his thinking now.
And, like, again, any turn that Ryvius goes for the big Elysiana costs him his whole turn.
Fair.
So, if you play Elysiana first, there has to be that blank turn somewhere from Ryvius. And if there isn't, well, then the game's, like, again, fair, so to speak. Because even now, there's only, unless the shield slam comes down, which it is, there's less and less removal available, which means that there's got to be a good opportunity soon for Surrender to just go. He might just be waiting on Armagadillo. I mean, that's a good one too.
I think what this does mean for Ryvius very nicely though is that he sets up a minion whilst also removing what's on Surrender's side of the board. So I think this is probably his best shot at getting Elysiana coming down, if not on a clear board, on a much less threatening board. Because he can just, like, if 2 Mordants played here, he can value trade and happily play Elysiana next turn.
I wonder now if, like, Plague, Cryo Assembly comes out or something like that, or something close to that.
Yeah.
Going for Shield Slam instead.
Well,
there is a world in
okay.
this matchup.
Most likely, it's just a 10-10.
Yes,
The
almost
vast
every
majority
time.
of the time, because he has to churn through Elysiana, which is 10 cards, of course. Yeah, I think it's pretty much impossible actually for him to win with Mechathune, but it's a consideration.
Well,
it could happen.
The only reason it could happen is if Ryvius bounces his Elysiana, because that gives Surrender time to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Ryvius has 20 cards and Surrender has 10,
Yeah.
well, Surrender can do it faster, right? Like, so Surrender has a chance because the game will go that long. Fatigue won't kick in, enough. And again, it's a bit of a joke just talking about Mechathune wins, but generally, it's just I don't know. This game's just weird right now.
The mirage there for Ryvius is the ability to potentially go infinite in terms of.
Yeah, because he has 2 that will always just
yeah,
forever
exactly.
cycle
Just
in.
going back and forth. Yeah, didn't get all the options there. If we could get a hover over of his Elysiana on the sidebar to see what cards he shuffled in, that would be very useful. Yeah, actually, I want to get this. Production, if you can hear me, the
Quick.
hovering over the card there at the side, the Elysiana. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Perfect. So went with the Tortollan Shellraiser instead, and then was that Baron Geddon, a Restless Mummy.
And the mechanical trainer dude, the 4-drop 2/4, some of them went well.
Oh, right, okay. Okay. I mean, not the worst.
Not bad, not mind blowing though.
Not that
Definitely
impressive.
not crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen better.
And of course, the main thing is that once Ryvius chugs through all of these, he can quite happily carry on with his second Elysiana, whereas Surrender, once he plays his own one, what you see is what you get.
And also, even if Ryvius just gets halfway and he's like, I don't like the rest of the cards that are left, Elysiana go.
Fair
Like,
point.
he doesn't need all 20 fully to win the game by any means.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit careful because like the bigger advantage you have in terms of fatigue in your deck makes it less likely that if your opponent gets a better quality of card off of Elysiana, it makes it less likely that will be able to trump yours.
Right.
Because if you're taking fatigue damage and you're being hit down by a couple of mid-range minions that you haven't been able to clear, that's when things spiral out of control quite quickly. Brawl coming down, a difficult card you can't always use to make his hand nice and clear for Mechathune.
Even leaving the 1-1 up. Want to swing away?
I guess so. It's been a while since I've seen what's it even called? Mechanical Dragon Tamer, Dragonling Mechanic. It's been a while since I've seen this card, basically. Do you remember back in the day when you looked at this card and you were like, oh, it's the same stats as Yeti. Maybe it's pretty good.
Yep.
How far we've come.
Well, finally, surrender drew our Megadillo. But now he only has 1 taunt in his hand.
This story deserves a new one.
Right, here we go. Wargear's pretty good when you got a bunch of mechs.
They're all not bad.
Yeah, they're all pretty good, actually.
Honestly, Lackey's are pretty sweet.
I think I like Wargear the most, just for the aggressive potential. If you can stick board, that's a way to punish your opponent hard.
Oh.
I like Ziliax a lot. I like Frothing a lot.
I like Reckless Rocketeer a lot. Isn't that just like 5
Is that ever
damage?
better than
Bang.
Frothing?
Like 10 damage?
Frothing's so much better of a card,
But
but
it dies
you might
to
be
everything.
right. Yeah,
it
maybe
dies to, like just 5 damage.
guaranteed damage. He agrees.
It's removal or it's damage to face. Sign me up.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Smolder Thorn. No, probably not.
He doesn't have any other dragons that he's picked, does he?
Spencer's like, can I get both of those? And they're like, "No."
Yeah, of course, if he were to get Nightmare Amalgam off of Omega Assembly, then we'd be cooking. Right, Reckless Rocketeer, Ziliax,
Wolf Grunt.
Wargear,
Get in there.
Frostwolf Grunt.
That guy is going to do some work. Even the smallest taunts. Oh, I forgot the quote. Oh, I'm so bad. The Lord of the Rings quote.
Oh, yeah. Even the smallest guy can carry a ring to a mountain, I believe is the quote.
Best part is just all the jokes of like Boromir. One does not simply walk into Mordor. It's literally what they did.
Yeah, literally what they did.
Fly.
Somewhat of an abridged version of the Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
We'll never do it.
The big questions.
We did.
That they made dramatic mistakes in not answering in the film.
Yeah,
was,
of course.
why didn't they just fly?
Yeah.
They have giant eagles. I believe there are actually, from what I recall, there are reasons in the books they didn't fly.
Yeah.
But they didn't explain in the film, and that was just a slight misplay.
Can't speak to that. I tried reading Lord of the Rings, but I'm a Luddite, and maybe I was too young when I read it. I just didn't really enjoy it. I don't know. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that now.
Keeping the Omega healthy. The Shell Fighter.
Yeah.
One of my favourite cards of the previous expansion.
Very cool card. Do you remember people were playing that in like Odd Rogue?
I played
Was
it
I think-
Rogue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good.
Used to do great things. That plus Tar Creeper, best mates.
Get behind me, lads. All right. We got
But no,
this.
get behind me. It's like, wait, what? Who's doing what job here?
No, please. I insist.
They're just the 2 bouncers on the door at any club.
Here it was actually pretty bad. Just allowed for a nice value trade for 1 damage instead of 3.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was 50-50. The initial trade
It was pretty
with
good.
the
yeah.
protecting the Omega Devastator was good.
Still better than both. They're kind of similar
Good
effect.
old ball.
Has anyone made fan art of both Lundgren?
No, but if someone's there, I'll pay you that.
I would
me and Derek
commission
will
both Lundgren.
Combine our money. So you get a $5, and we will commission that from someone, even if it's bad.
Especially if it's bad. That's a prerequisite.
But can I see your portfolio? Yeah, there it is. Ooh. Oh, what's wrong? It's a bit too good, this. It's not really what we're looking for. Someone else, a 3-year-old, submits his paint. Paint a thing. Ah! How much do you cost, mate?
Now we're talking. Now, have you heard of an actor by the name of Dolph Lundgren? This is going to be hilarious if you had.
If not, do it anyway. Oh, here he comes. Frostwolf Grunt is in charge. A little bit mediocre that he just dies to the hero power and then
Yeah.
some, but still.
And it's kind of worse than mediocre for Surrender because he has to be on the front foot here. He cannot be taking a mediocre, like you said, approach to the board here. He has to put it to the lead as quick as he possibly can.
What will you do if Surrender wins this game with Mechathune?
I don't even know.
So what wouldn't you do?
What wouldn't I do? If Surrender wins this game with Mechathune, I will let him choose a word to shave into my head.
Ah, top of your head?
I was thinking like round the back.
Oh.
So I can't. I still want to work. It can't be visible on camera.
It would
Right?
be visible on camera if it was like in the middle.
No, round the back. Oh, on the
Yeah,
top.
see,
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess I'm
literally
quite
on the
top.
top.
Yeah.
And the front of your hair can be coiffed,
Yeah.
so it blocks it.
He has to win with the Mechathune Death Rattle as well. It can't be attacking phase. That's an addendum, all right?
I wanted to slip that one through. Oh, Derek reads the small print.
That'd be hilarious. He just does bludgeons him with a 10.
Got him.
Yeah. What do you think Surrender would like to have shaved into my head?
Derek.
Derek, a very literal man.
Or Derek Brown.
I said one word.
Omega Assembly. Oh!
That's a pretty
they're
premium
alright.
selection.
Yeah, I would like those. If I ever played Control Warrior. This really is coming to the tipping point now because Ryvius' hand is just trash. His deck, I feel, is kind of trash.
Yeah.
But he can go again, whereas Surrender cannot. So this really feels close to me. And maybe just Omega Assemblies and Reckless Rocketeers and then Mechathune is just enough beef to get it done.
I mean, I think looking back on it, Reckless Rocketeer was quite far and away the correct pick. Just because stuff never really connects phase.
Look
It's
at this.
incredibly difficult to do so.
7 to face.
Yeah.
He can do 12 to face this turn.
Boom, 25 of stats. Another Clockwork Goblin. All right, it's starting to come together.
Yeah, just play it, right?
Yeah.
You got 2 out of 3 to get a bomb.
No tomb can hold me.
You could, of course, save it until after the second Elysiana, but I think.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
too. This is just good. Get another 7 to face. All the armor's gone from Ryvius. Boom. Boom. 25 of stats. Very few people understand that.
I don't even think I understand it.
If you can't make a very small selection of jokes no one will understand whilst casting Hearthstone, what can you do?
Nothing.
Well, there you go.
It's a very depressing outlook, but it's true.
Mega Assemblies are going to be as good as Surrenders. No.
No.
Not even close.
Yeah, very poor selection there. You can, of course, clear up, turn after turn. But like you said, the Surrender's minions, you know, he got pretty much what he needed. Better minions. This had to happen if he was going to have a chance.
Say the magic word.
Is he going to rush in? He is.
Yeah, I think 100%.
Double clear, yeah. I was just saying this war
Yeah,
gate is
yeah.
going to be pretty beefy otherwise.
He hasn't seen the first war
Nope.
yet. No, yeah.
It's just a 10-10 charge. Thinks it'll be Mechathune.
Yeah, Mechathune's looking over like, all right, mate, come on. You're stepping on my toes over here. Like 10 seconds.
I'm almost out of cards.
This story deserves
It's
a new
Elysiana number 2.
Oh, he's thinking this is the least threatening board he's going to face down. But Surrender with double war gear can push 16 damage.
Oh, Stone Tusk Ball, though. That's some damage to face. Not quite the Reckless Rocketeer, but still.
Way more efficient for its mana cost.
True. Snip Snap, executes. Omega Assemblies. I'm just naming cards now.
Mega Assembly execute. Those were all pretty good cards towards the end.
But are they just too good too late? Oh, he did pick the ball. What a champ.
Oh, they're so good. But are they enough? And maybe, you know, this goes back to Ryvius just playing Ziliax at the start of the game, right? Like, there are massive knock-on effects of what you did earlier on in the game. It may have happened an hour ago, but...
And like I said, it's just the window of opportunity, isn't it? Look at this turn.
This would be a good time
Yeah.
for
Surrender
a
just
man
hits
to
him for
play.
1,000,000. He has effectively, what,
This is nuts.
20 charge damage in
Yeah.
hand?
So does he just go for the war gear now? Because
Yes.
there's a chance he never gets that again.
War
as
gear,
charge
war gear,
damage.
go. Reckless go, reckless
He's
go.
omitting a hero power. Do you not care?
This would be
Fair
a
enough.
good time
All
for
the
a
hero
master
power is, Derek, is one more card he needs to play before the Mechathune win condition.
Ah, of course.
There you go.
I can feel my scalp itching already. If you weren't listening 5 minutes ago, that will sound very weird.
Derek has weird reactions to Mechathune. So I'm allergic to this.
Get a bit of an itchy scalp. Oh, he's slowing down.
Oh, I missed the spam. Forgive me. I'm just going to check.
It's kind of annoying that it didn't even become a factor because obviously he could coin and then Brewmaster back his Elysiana anyway.
There's no spam there.
There's no spam.
No. What did we say? Was it 5 past or 10 past?
5 past.
Yeah, maybe 8 minutes too late. So if you hear this, and we'll be in the next match. This isn't the last match of the day, is it?
One more.
Okay.
Mercifully. So can Ryvius clear up this whole board? He can go attack, 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 hero power attack, clear off all the mechs at the very least.
Oh, Frostwolf.
Oh, he can clear up the whole thing, yeah.
I want Frostwolf to be the solo stander between Oblivion and victory. He is.
I'm almost out of cards.
Wait, was that the mistake? He could have full cleared, right?
I trusted you, so I didn't actually look.
I kind of
Mistake
in my
I
head
keep making, I
beforehand.
think.
Didn't he overkill the Tomb Warden there? Honestly, I worked it out in my head, and I thought that would be pretty easy because he had 11 damage to kill it off with the.
And now, just what about Reckless into the Amalgam, and then he might be able to stick Wargear next turn.
Just go
Oh,
Wargear
he's just
right
gonna
now.
go and trade.
Trying to stick it.
Oh no, he's gonna go wide. Okay. Alright. So this is a Force Brawl. It's not like a Jedi power, but
Force
a brawl that is forced. Force Brawl, everyone's like, ah, and just starts fighting. You're like,
Be a pretty cool force technique.
like, Luke, that's a weird thing to do. I wanted to see at the bar.
No Ziliax represented, which is obviously what Ryvius quite desperately looking for at this point.
Kaboom bots, both sides for both players. Yeah.
Clearing off all the mechs, which is very important because Surrender not only has the War Gears, he has the Ziliaxes himself, right? He has
I think so.
another Ziliax he can magnetize on. Yeah, I think his last card is Ziliax here. Starting to run low on cards.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Ooh. All right, Ryvius, let's just kill this bad boy off, and we're all good.
I'm up. He does have the scrap bot. Pretty big deal.
It's true, yeah, especially with the magnetization of well, whatever he wants to go for. He could go for magnetization of both if he wanted to be really reckless with the Snip Snap and the Replicating Menace. We're just
Yeah, it's going to do it
ultimate
to get the clean kill, right? Because with double snip snap, it'd be one off. If he tried, oh, I guess.
Right, well, I was saying he'd go Snip Snap as well, but then he misses the hero power. So yeah, this is clearly just better.
That's it. I'm out of cards.
This might be
Oh,
Surrender's
it's just
downfall
Bomb.
now,
It's
though.
the last card left in his deck. My mistake.
I wonder if the double,
Yeah.
the lack of double war gear was actually the defining factor in this game. Surrender could have pushed 5 more damage.
True.
And also the minions would have been bigger and harder to clear
Yeah.
on that turn. And in the end, the war gear did nothing. So maybe Surrender over prioritized the hero power and in fact should have just prioritized playing stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to make the read because Surrender, I don't know, maybe he could have found something better off the Discover there. Maybe Ryvius had found Taunt. But I think in this case, where Surrender is so far behind, I find myself agreeing with you because something has to go his way, right? And I think a pretty reasonable thing to go his way
There's a concede after
is
all
the fact that we could just see no Taunt, no heal. but because he didn't go for the aggressive line, Ryvius has the extra cards shuffled in, which we expected for quite a while now. He is finally able to take the victory.
Yeah, and my only question I have is, Ryvius, why don't you just bring Mecha and Warrior? Would have made our lives a little bit easier, but that is just...
Not done yet. You owe me a second estimate as for how many times the windmill rotated there.
80.
80? It's a big
I think it's a roughly
uptick.
40-minute game.
Twice a minute.
Seems reasonable.
I think that's a reasonable guess. We'll find out never if he was correct.
Unless someone does it for us. You can watch it on 2 times speed, probably. That should be all right. Maybe
Yeah,
even
it's
4
true, actually.
times.
Yeah.
Get to it.
Like a
random
helicopter
viewer.
at that speed.
It'll be like, feels really fast. But anyway, that is just a 1-1 now between Ryvius and Surrender. I know it's felt like an age, but that game will never be repeated again. As we move on, and Ryvius has his warrior gone, as he took a win with it, and Surrender has his warrior left, so he might be queuing it again. But it is going to be a slightly quicker game overall, as Ryvius has his hunter and his druid left.
Yeah, and up against, what is it on the other side? Priest and warrior.
Ooh.
I expect to see a hunter from, oh, here we go, yeah, from Ryvius. That makes
Derek's
sense.
just cheated. Even though I know he wasn't looking at the screen, I'm going to pretend he was. I expect to see Priest from Surrender as well.
Wow.
Whoa!
Wow.
I'm so good with this. Right, Owen? But anyway, what do you make of this matchup? I feel like this matchup outside of Warrior is probably one of the better ones for the not Priest player.
Agreed.
I think Hunter can get some work done. The secrets really mess with Priest.
Yeah.
Kind of regardless of which secret it actually ends up being.
Yeah.
If you get an early one or an early couple, it can really mess with the early turns, as well as just some of those minions that start to snowball a little bit with Hunter as well. So definitely got some game, not too one-sided, but I think Priest can still do its job, and without early secrets or early plays, Hunter's going to struggle.
It's true, but there are a couple of other things that come into play in terms of like hidden information that aren't only secrets, that really mess with your mind as a Priest player.
Really just
because
blow your mind.
They do, because if you're going all in on one big minion at the start, you're thinking, but what if they have the deadly shot? Can I go all in here? You know, and of course what the secrets have. Do they have Zephyrus? Can they just clear my board here if I go all in? It can be really difficult to play effectively around what they've got, as Ryvius there, I think, is grimacing, understandably, at the full keep from Surrender.
Look at his
That's
face.
never
He
what you
knows,
want to
he
see.
knows. He's like, no! Cleric on 1, Tolvair on 2, all together now. Coin into High Priest, damn it. GG!
Nah.
Well, secrets have come down, so that helps. But the problem is Surrender can actually just Tolvair pass.
Yeah. Again, okay, this is where it gets messy, because you could attack face. If it's Freezing Trap, that's kind of bad. You could go Tolvair plus Circle. That would be great in this instance, but maybe it's Pressure Plate, and then your Tolvair dies.
I think Tolvair pass is fine.
Is Tolvair Circle actually that bad? Because...
Coin, Psychopomp.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, you just follow up. And, you know, even if it's Pressure Plate and your 1 and 3 dies, you then have a 2/6 on the board, you're going coin... I mean, even just coin Amit into Psychopomp at that point. Honestly, seems pretty strong to me. I like it.
Yeah.
I think this is fine if Pressure Plate does come down.
The thing with Pressure Plate is what we talked about the other day, right? Sure. When I was surprised that actually leaving a 1/1 up, then playing a spell was not better to just let Pressure Plate kill a 1/1.
Good
Who
point.
cares? Get it out of the way. And it's not going to cause as much trouble as later. Whereas now Ryvius has to be thinking what I'm thinking. We just went through that warrior mirror for this. Why? Ryvius?
Why? What was it all for?
Naught. Extra screen time.
And I think as well, the other thing that we didn't talk about is the fact that Surrender kind of wanted to proc every secret if possible because of Masked Contender.
Yep. And Bow.
And Hyena Alpha on the following turn as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of reasons to. Oh.
Okay, we have a game on our hands.
Do we?
Actually, no, we don't.
Yeah.
I take that back.
Actually, the freezing trap was perfect for Surrender.
Exactly,
It
it was the
cleric.
dream. So what? Zephyrus, Shadow Word Pain on the Amit, Psychopomp,
GG.
G to the G.
And you know what? However kind of jokey we're being, Zephyrus into Shadow of Pain is 100% the correct play.
Yes.
It just is, because you know at best, or at worst I guess, Surrender has a Cleric to play next turn, which makes a 1/7 Cleric, which you can't beat. So he 100% has to do this and hope for no Psychopomp. There is a Psychopomp, but you can't argue. You can't blame him, right? Like, this is just the play.
You know that it was a full keep though. They played 1-drop, 2-drop, coin 4-drop. What else is it going to be other sides the Psycho Pomp there?
Cold Blood trade.
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
All right, read.
Whoa. All right.
Absolute madman.
What a god.
It's pretty good to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, what a god.
Yeah.
I would have never done this.
Me neither.
I would have just said, kill the Amit. If he's got the pomp, I've played against Priest before. This is what happens. You lose. But if he's not got it, you're in for a good time. Because suddenly your board is actually quite competitive, even against just a Tolve.
So is it Pomp and VT on the, I guess, Ursatrons that can't be magnetized with a Ziliax? Or
What about? Oh, he's 1 mana off.
heal, beaming sidekick, cleric heal,
I was
cleric
honestly
heal, beaming sidekick.
thinking about like Pyro, extra arms the Pyro. I know he can't because of mana, and then trade into the into the Zephyrus to force him to die, Amit to die, so then he can res him the turn after, guaranteed. But obviously not enough mana to. So this turn is actually quite hard from Surrender, I feel.
It is, yeah.
What if he just plays cleric and heals and buffs the Amit with the sack?
Whatever he's going to do, he has to go really fast.
Oh, he's
and I feel like he
resin.
thought he was onto something there. But couldn't quite get it done.
Nerfed.
Somewhat appropriate, actually, I guess. It's like an injured Kvaldir now, instead.
Although still good because it has Reborn.
Yeah.
So buffed. -2 health for Reborn.
I'd take that trade any day.
Unless it was a 2 health minion. Just play it.
It's
it
2
dies
mana,
and you're
2-1. I don't know what I expected to happen.
But it wasn't this. Go into Secret seems reasonable. Sets up Hyena Alpha the following turn because Rat Trap, in most cases, doesn't get proc this early.
You can just see Ryvius' lack of faith in this play, though. And I think
Surrender
he
finds
finds
it
it disturbing. There we go. I wasn't even leading up to that, honestly. I just
But
fell
most
into my
importantly, you knew where I was going with it.
I knew
and
exactly where
joined
you were
in
going with it.
like
Yeah.
a good friend. Because we cast with the power of friendship.
Yeah! Alright! And overused nerd culture references.
They're the best kind.
Oh, yes.
What about just extra arms? Let's rock. On the Amit, maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like Surrender, after what he's seen now, should feel like he has the rights to make some big moves.
Doesn't this, like, how does this get punished, this play here? Because I think he's narrowed it down to not exactly Rat Trap at all. There's still a couple of other things. It could be like pressure play here. He didn't play a spell. But I think with Zephyrus gone, there's very little that can not win him the game here.
Generated spell from Mark Shot. That spell would be make your beast's death rattle into mechs, into something.
Right.
Extreme levels of silliness.
Yes.
That is the answer I'm giving you, Derek.
And I think what's more likely to go wrong than that is extra arms proccing pressure
the
plate, and then exactly the Amit dies. Like I see your point. Like, you know, it feels like why not go all in? But I think it's probably best just to err on the side of caution here, because if you're careful, Surrender can make this a 100% lock, I think. It does, of course, limit his play somewhat for the moment until he finds lethal. But I think for the moment, as long as Surrender is, as I said, just making sure he's not falling behind on board, as long as he plays around Dino Tamer Bran as well, of course, I think he can just keep on drawing 2 cards every turn and be happy.
I wonder, does he not want to accelerate this game, though? Because his lack of being able to play Power Word Shield and extra arms is actually a problem. I think with a board this wide, he could have... Oh, maybe next turn. I guess it's next turn, right? Looking at the way the mana adds up. Sure. Make this trade, go next turn. But I think there is a certain point where you just go, I'm going to play a spell, and if it's the pressure plate, whatever, have enough stuff to win the game.
Oh,
I mean, look at
absolutely.
this board
Yeah.
now. I think next turn is the turn for Surrender.
And
From what I've seen.
Yeah, it's good realization as well, because this does, to me, play around Dynatamer brand to an extent. Like, the best way to play around that was injured Tolvir, of course. But this just says if he did play the Dynatamer, I just kill him anyway.
Yeah. So you power shield first on the smaller minion.
Yep.
Put them both to 8, and now it is impossible to lose, even if it is the pressure plate. And Surrender is going to take another win, and he's going to even his score up with Ryvius and go 4-3, as is Ryvius going to be, which means he's continuing to be competitive and really pull his socks up in the first couple of weeks we saw from Surrender, where he did not get off to a great start this season.
That's right. I think he was at 0-4.
I
1
think
and
it was
3.
at least 0-3. Yeah.
1 and 3, yeah, of course, because he's at 3-3 now. So 1-3 score after the first 2 weeks. He was the only Grandmaster to have picked up a win, I think, or a Grandmaster, sorry, who had qualified to BlizzCon to have picked up a win after PNC and Fino had some very poor starting weeks as well. But now he's just looking unstoppable. He's and that's now his 3rd match win in a row, and could, of course, show no signs of stopping.
Yep, really solid play overall. And again, it must just feel a bit bad for Ryvius going through all of that Warrior game to then just lose to Priest afterwards. But again, that's the way it happens. And I was just wondering if there's maybe a slightly different set of decks. I do like Ryvius' submissions overall, but I don't know if there's like a weird gap there. Maybe you need like a second deck that is quite good, maybe even Overtext for Priest. But anyway, as soon as Priest gets shielded, it's just a nightmare and gets played. It just makes it so safe. And without even joking too much, feels like it does kind of guarantee a win. But we spent a long time on that series, so we will move swiftly